In the heart of the city stood a mansion of glass and marble, glowing like a palace in the night. Inside, wealth moved like a current, expensive gowns brushing against velvet floors, chandeliers reflecting golden light across faces filled with arrogance. Among them moved a figure who didn't belong, a black maid named Evelyn. Her uniform was plain, her posture humble, yet her eyes carried a depth no riches could imitate. She was not here for luxury, she was here to survive. For Evelyn's daughter lay in a hospital bed, her little heart failing with each passing day. The doctors demanded money more than Evelyn could ever dream to earn in 10 lifetimes of scrubbing floors. And in this house of excess, she saw money flow like water, wasted on wine and jewels. Every day, she served with quiet obedience, swallowing humiliation as the wealthy mocked her presence. But every night her thoughts drifted back to her daughter, her only reason to fight. Desperation sharpened into resolve. She knew she would have to risk everything. And so, when the opportunity came, when the billionaire's private study lay open, when the safe full of uncountable bills glimmered in the half-light, her shaking hands did what her heart commanded. She took what she needed, not for greed, but for life. What she did that night would not remain hidden, and the mansion, so proud and untouchable, was about to witness the kind of justice money could never silence. But this was only the beginning. The storm would come when the billionaire discovered who dared to defy him. The morning after, silence fell heavy over the mansion. Whispers spread like wildfire. Someone had broken into the untouchable vault. And the master of the house, a billionaire feared by all, was furious. His name carried power, and his wealth was the law. No one stole from him and lived to tell the tale. He called his advisors, his guards, and the police, declaring that the thief would be hunted down. In his world, there was no mercy, only dominance. Those who bowed to him were rewarded, and those who defied him were crushed. But as they searched the mansion, suspicion narrowed. The maids, the drivers, the cooks, none had access, except one, Evelyn, quiet, hard-working, yet strangely composed despite the chaos around her. He watched her with cold eyes, certain that guilt was written in her silence, yet he did not confront her directly. No, the billionaire had something else in mind. That night, he hosted a grand ball, where the wealthy would gather to witness his power once again. It was there, in front of everyone, that he planned his test. Evelyn would not escape. He would humiliate her, strip her dignity, and crush her spirit before all. But what he did not know was that Evelyn had nothing left to lose, and a woman with nothing to lose is the most dangerous kind of all. The ballroom doors would soon open, and destiny would take the floor. The ballroom sparkled like a dream, silk gowns gliding, violins singing, and crystal glasses raised to the rhythm of wealth. At the center, the billionaire stood like a king, his voice commanding the hall as he gestured toward Evelyn. She was dragged forward, her simple uniform a stark contrast to the glittering crowd. Whispers rippled through the guests' eyes, sharp with judgment. Here was the maid, accused in silence, made a spectacle for their amusement. Then came his cruel decree. She would dance the waltz, and not with just anyone, with his arrogant son, the heir who mocked servants as playthings. The billionaire's words cut sharper than any knife. If she dances this waltz, she marries my son. The hall erupted in laughter. They expected her to stumble, to shame herself, to beg for mercy. But Evelyn, though trembling, lifted her chin. The weight of every insult, every cruel word, every sleepless night by her daughter's bedside burned inside her. The music began. At first her steps faltered, mocked by sneers, yet with each turn something shifted. Her body remembered grace buried beneath years of labor. Her movements grew bold, fluid, undeniable. The hall fell silent. By the final note, Evelyn was not a maid, not a thief, not a victim. She was a queen in her own right, commanding respect the room had never given her before. But the billionaire did not applaud. His eyes burned with rage. She had defied him, and for that, he would break her. Yet fate was already moving, and soon, the truth behind her stolen act would shatter everything. Word spread quickly. The billionaire's investigators uncovered the truth. The stolen money had not been wasted, not hidden away, but spent in a desperate attempt to save Evelyn's daughter. Hospital bills, surgery costs, medicine, all traced back to the very fortune he claimed she desecrated. This revelation did not soften him, it hardened him further. In his mind, a servant had dared to take without asking, dared to touch what was his. Mercy was weakness, and weakness had no place in his empire. Yet among the guests whispers grew. Some pitied Evelyn, admiring her courage. Others began questioning the billionaire's cruelty, and his son, the heir who once sneered at her, was struck by what he saw in her eyes. Resilience, love, a fire that wealth could not buy. The billionaire could feel his power slipping. To restore it, he promised vengeance. He would ruin her, her daughter, and anyone who dared to sympathize. But destiny was shifting, and the walls of arrogance he built were beginning to crack. Because sometimes, the very hand you crush becomes the one that holds the power to break you. The billionaire moved quickly, unleashing lawsuits, police pressure, and threats. Yet each time something strange happened, his plans collapsed. Judges dismissed his cases, partners withdrew their support, and his empire began to wobble. Why? Because Evelyn, though a maid, was no longer alone. The guests who once sneered now whispered her name in admiration. Journalists picked up her story, branding her not as a thief, but as a mother who risked everything for her child. The people rallied behind her. Even his own son turned against him. Publicly, he defended Evelyn, exposing the corruption and cruelty that had long been hidden behind the mansion walls. For the first time, the billionaire was outnumbered not by money, but by truth. The mansion that once echoed with laughter of the powerful now echoed with silence. His guests abandoned him. His reputation crumbled, and the empire he built on fear was collapsing brick by brick. And in the middle of it all stood Evelyn, no longer a servant, but the symbol of justice the world had been waiting for. The story reached its end where it began inside the grand ballroom. But this time the chandeliers did not shine for him. They shone for her. Evelyn stood where he once stood, her daughter alive and healthy by her side, her dignity restored. The billionaire, stripped of his wealth and power, was nothing more than a shadow of his former self, and in front of everyone, it was Evelyn who delivered the final justice, not with revenge, but with grace. She forgave, not for him, but for herself, proving that true power lies not in gold, but in love and resilience. The crowd erupted, not with cruel laughter, but with respect, and the waltz that once began as humiliation became the dance of her victory, the rhythm of a mother's triumph over cruelty. Her story spread beyond the mansion, inspiring millions who had once bowed under oppression. Evelyn was no longer just a maid. She was the reminder that no amount of money could silence justice. The billionaire had thought he could break her, but in trying he had destroyed himself and Evelyn. She walked away not as the servant of the mansion but as the queen of her own destiny. The end.